And best thing that ever happened to you, Devin.
Oh, Devin. Yeah.
If you're just joining us, we're talking about how great it is to have Blake in the world. Actually, Blake's telling us why it's so great to have Blake in the world. That's what's happening.
Hey, it's not hard to explain.
Dang it. Welcome to the Blake and Devin Podcast. I am your co-host, Devin, and across the way is your man, Blake, in the ball cap today. And our very special guest I'm so excited about is the butt of every your mama joke I've ever told about Blake, Kristi Adkins. Kristi, wave. She looks panicked, but she'll be fine. We're excited to have her on the podcast today. She's going to come and talk to us about homeschooling, a very hot topic right now. As many of you know and have been forced to do, you're going to have to homeschool your children. A lot of kids have to come home. Schools aren't opening back up, especially now with this whole talk of a second wave. And so we have Kristi on here this week to talk to us. She's doing a very special thing tomorrow. Actually, today, when this airs, it'll be today. Conference for homeschooling to help people out, which is very neat. So we're excited to talk to her. But before we do that, let's do our memes of the week. Are you ready for this?
Let's do it.
Okay.
If you can figure out the share button. Okay.
Wasn't going to ask again. So if you didn't get it that time, it was going to be over. All right. Meme
of the week.
That's a little bit better. You're at least in the same 30-minute section this time.
Yeah. I've got my vibe down.
Of course I wear pajamas. I'm homeschooled. Look at that dog's face.
I'd really like to see that dog in pajamas.
I bet you would.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. Be interesting. Okay, we'll explain this later because this is one of the things. It's a common, probably misconception about homeschooling, but there's something this is indicating that is true about homeschooling. We'll talk about that in a minute. Next, you're in public school. You must be more socially advanced than I'll ever be. That conversation has happened a lot.
Yeah.
Even though homeschoolers are hosting a podcast. What?
This year, with all the homeschooling families, we're going to have a lot of unsocial kids, I guess.
Well, that's another common misconception, isn't it? And then finally, how homeschoolers were perceived before 2020, how homeschoolers are perceived now. And so, of course, this is cute, but this is making a point, right? Which is when you're put in the position to have to do what a lot of people have chose to do, you start to see things from their perspective. There's a little more empathy. There's more understanding. And because of that, your perceptions change. And so this is sort of what this is indicating here. The aluminum foil hat. Blake, do you still have yours?
Okay. I think I loaned it out to you.
Well, my whole family made their own, so we didn't need to share. This is what homeschooling was. Okay, today in history, July 25th, 2020. What do we have for today in history?
Got several different things. The Roman Emperor Constantine was named emperor today.
Constantine was put in place today?
Yeah, and do you know who by?
Pope Leo.
The Roman soldiers named him Emperor of Rome.
Huh. It was a
Something
groundswell
interesting. I didn't
movement.
know they even had that power. Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Ulysses S. Grant was named the first general of the Union Army today in history. And here's something interesting. The first U.S. patent was issued on this day. Care to guess what that patent was for?
Oh, Kristi,
Uh,
first U.S.
I-
patent.
First U.S. patent. Patent on. I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm gonna guess.
I'll give you a hint. Okay, take a guess.
Well, I'll take the hint first. See if I can get close with the guess.
Okay. Okay, it has to do with clothing. First U.S. patent.
Zipper. Patent on a zipper?
Hook and eye.
No.
The
Paper collar. Paper collar. Not as popular now, but I forgot the date that was on that.
We need a patent to torture people. Who patents a paper collar?
It was popular back in the day, man.
So were powdered wigs, but they didn't need a patent.
Yeah. I'm just giving you history, man. I'm not
while,
responsible for this history.
Every once in a while, I go out and I get my powdered wig on and I have fun.
Not the powder wig, a paper collar.
I know what you said.
1854. First U.S. patent. There you go.
Well, I wouldn't have expected that. Okay. Well, let's introduce our guest today, Blake. Would you like to do the honors?
I could do the honor. This is my mother. As I said earlier, I don't know if we're going to air this part, but we are definitely going to air it now. I'm the best thing that ever happened to her life.
Yes.
But in all seriousness, we're talking about the subject of homeschooling and how just honored I am and how my life has gone because of your dedication to my upbringing. Is just you can't put a value on that. And so it has been such a benefit to my life, and it's why I choose to homeschool my kids. And so you're a great testament to my life. And so it's definitely an honor for me to have you on our podcast and to speak specifically on this subject. So we look forward to hearing from you about homeschooling.
Thank you so much.
It's good to have you on the podcast, Kristi. Let's start out right. Number one, what's the biggest lie about being able to homeschool?
I think that oftentimes moms especially, but parents in general, believe that only degreed teachers can teach children well. And I think, say this from the perspective that I have a degree from Berea College in English education, and that really didn't help me in homeschooling. It might have even, in some sense, hindered me because I felt like I was all about the curriculum and the curriculum drove things, and I had to really kind of de-school that part of myself. And so I've always said, you show me a mama who loves her children, loves the Lord, desires to observe her children and see where their strengths and weaknesses are, and is willing to put in the time to find books, find curriculum, maybe even find other mentors that can help her children in certain ways if they have special needs. And I will take that over a degreed teacher. And that's not meant to be in an offending manner. It's just that parents are able to teach their children.
Absolutely. You mentioned when what you said that your education came across and in your homeschooling, and that you actually needed to, I think you used the term de-school that part of your mind. And what do you mean by that, and what way did it affect your homeschooling negatively?
Yeah, so I think we are oftentimes, especially for me, I was always public schooled and then went to college, and we have this perception that it's you get up and you start school 7:30, 8 o'clock, and you're done at 3, and you will do that book. If it kills you, you will finish it, and it doesn't matter if it's working for you or not. That is what we've chosen this year, and that is what you'll do. And it's just this cookie cutter kind of idea, and that is not what homeschoolers need to be bound by. But it took me several years to really figure out that I didn't have to live in fear if I didn't get that book done, that I could seek God's will for each individual child and help them in their weaknesses and their strengths, and just rest in that. And we don't have to do school at home. There are reasons.
Public school at home, right?
Yes. And so it needs to be an environment of learning. And I didn't do this with Blake nor Autumn when they were home, but with my 3 littles I have now, it's kind of funny because I don't allow them to say that we're doing school. They're not allowed to say that, because I want it to be a mindset that we are just always learning. So I don't want their minds to be turned on when it's school hours and then turned off when we're not supposed to be doing school. I just want it to be this love of learning, no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, no matter what day of the week it is, and just to love to do that and to be thinkers, right? We want to raise thinkers.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. More so than ever.
I think that's been the most critical thing in my life, and what I am trying to instill in my kids is to just think for yourself. And I think we can see in society right now, we see a lot of people not thinking for themselves, not studying for themselves, not learning for themselves, and
not
just
committed to learning or being lifelong.
Not committed to learning, and just listening to others, and just adopting that idea, because either you trust that person or whatever the case may be, but not thinking critically for yourself, and that has, to me, been a detriment to society.
Absolutely.
Seeing that kind of play out now.
So, Kristi, how did you, this may inform a little bit to the audience and to people listening and watching, how did you come to be a homeschool parent?
Yeah, so in going to Berea College, my junior year, I was a teacher's assistant for a professor there. And she asked me if I would be willing to live with a homeschooling family for a couple, 2 or 3 months, I guess, and just see how homeschoolers operate. So I went to the home of Alex and Debbie Carrick. Blake was really little. He was barely toddling about. And we lived with them for a couple of months. And we just, saw what they did on a daily basis. And we fell in love with them and with homeschooling. And I always said, if I could ever financially do that, I would love to do that. So graduated in 94, telling my age there, and was hired on at Owen County High School and taught there for a couple of years, taught at Christian Academy in Carrollton for a year, and then began to work for state government. And I was there for 3 years. And so this would have been the summer of 99, and then on into that new school year. Blake would have been in 5th grade at this point. And I just began to become overwhelmed with sadness of not being with Blake and Autumn and having someone else watch them really grow up for 7 or 8 hours, 5 days a week. And I felt like I was getting the leftovers. And the Lord just really began to lay on my heart to start praying toward the financial ability to homeschool. So of October of 99, I began to keep a prayer journal. Didn't say anything to my husband from October until February of 2000. And then on a Sunday afternoon, I just said, Robbie, could you just take off work tomorrow? Just take off work. I'll take the kids to the sitter. There's something I really need to talk with you about. And so I got up early. He took off work, took them to the sitter. And yes, I'm sure
that's
he was
the husband
thinking,
response to that.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I prepared a meal, feeling a little bit like Esther, right?
Yeah.
Came to the banquet, got something to talk to you about. And I had kept this journal, and I just laid the journal out in front of him and just said, the Lord has just been showing me all of this, and I really think we should do it, and we were in the middle. We had just bought a piece of land from his grandmother, and we were in the middle of building a home.
Ooh.
So it would have taken our finances and cut them in half. How were we going to pay for this home?
Right.
And so, I had to be patient because he obviously couldn't give me an answer right then. So it wasn't until Blake finished 5th grade out, wasn't until end of June, 1st of July, that the Lord poured forth this financial, out of the blue, 2 raises for my husband. And we ended up moving out of the little house that we were renting and into his mom and dad's older home, and they were staying with my mother-in-law's grandmother, mother, my husband's grandmother. And so we stayed there waiting for our home to be built, and we started homeschooling in the year 2000. And the Lord just laid the groundwork for that. And my husband, I remember him saying, well, we'll try it. And we just finished 20 years of homeschooling this year, and we've not looked back. Yeah.
We're still trying it.
We're still trying it. We're going to try it.
That's right. That's right. We're still trying it. Yeah. Well, when it doesn't work out with like Blake, and then you got to keep trying to see if you can get it right at least once.
Right.
Oh, I'm the pinnacle, son. Pinnacle.
Right.
Oh, I'm the pinnacle, son. Yeah. So you basically interned to the homeschool family and then began to see like they get more time with their kids and they're more responsible for their kids than I am, and then started feeling led that direction. So this goes into the sort of the question that and maybe think about those watching, Christian or non-Christian, that might be interested and be forced into the position to homeschool. How should we, and of course I know you're going to speak from a biblical standpoint on this, but how should we view children then? How should the audience, how should moms and dads forced into homeschooling when they're looking at this task in front of them and going, I don't know how I'm going to make this happen. I don't know how this is going to work. Let's start with, how should you see your kids? How should you view them?
Do you mean like as a being taking in information? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I mean, in whatever way you take the question, because I think that I could see you talking on this in regards to seeing them as learners. I could see you talking about their individuality in education and how it's beneficial to them. I could see you talking about
Yeah.
this, the Lord gave you them, and they're your responsibility, whether you're letting someone else educate them or whether you're doing it, and whatever way you
Right.
want to take it. There's these aspects of how do parents need to view their children now that they're fully responsible for them.
Yes. And we are, whether you decide to homeschool or not, right, you're always responsible for your children, for their education and anything else that goes along with that. So I would say to parents that when you are with them throughout the day, you are able to see their abilities, their weaknesses, their strengths, and God has given them to you and to no one else. And so even as parents, our weaknesses and strengths are really specifically for our children's well-being as much as their strengths and weaknesses are for us. And so the sanctification process, right, on that day-to-day grind, right, and forgiveness and grace. And I just think that there is this societal belief that we bow to the God of education and everyone must go to college and I can just tell you, and I know that people would say that this is heresy in the education world.
Right.
We never wanted our kids to go to college. We were glad if they don't go, right? Mm-hmm. So Blake didn't go. Autumn went to cosmetology school, to learn a skill. Mm-hmm. And so I guess I'm thinking about this same idea, Devin, and I know that this will like pop some eyebrows even for homeschoolers for me to say this. But I think as Christians, we must ask ourselves, is it biblically right for us to pay thousands of dollars to institutions who will begin to break down everything that we have taught them for 13 years? Mm-hmm. We want to enjoy our children. And I just think I could never reconcile going to work for 7, 8, 9 hours a day and not really enjoying my children.
Right.
And I think above education, academics are great. We ought to do those. We ought to be faithful to that and do that with a sense of excellence. But that doesn't come at doing that at all cost and nothing else. And I think we just can't bow to the God of education. And I would just say this.
Go ahead, Blake. Sorry.
I was just going to say, not that higher education is a bad thing. Higher education is a wonderful thing. But you're right. Institutions now, universities specifically, have professors that they don't just teach, they indoctrinate. And especially if you don't have children who are, back to what I was saying, critical thinkers that think for themselves, that don't just listen to what somebody is telling them and take it as gospel, then those kids are going to come home to you one day and you're not going to know them. And I think that's where the issue lies. It's not the education. It's really not. It's just the indoctrinating of children that has become the issue in universities. They used to not be that way.
Yes,
when you look at all the higher education.
Yeah, and that's really what I meant. I think with higher education, you oftentimes have kids who become really friends with the professors, and they have this relationship oftentimes, especially at small schools like Berea, which, I did. I considered them some of my closest friends, and we would have lunch together, and I began to swallow hook, line, and sinker everything that they taught. And it wasn't really until the Lord got a hold of my life at the end of my junior year that I realized, wait a minute, this isn't right. But what about all the kids who, had no biblical background, and continue to believe
And
that?
I think also you talked about schools being like a cookie cutter for public schools. I think a lot of people are going to have their eyes open, especially for families that have multiple kids, 2, 3, 4 kids. They're going to be like, you can't teach every kid the same way. Like this isn't it, and I
That's
think a
the
lot of
meme I
eyes are going
should
to be
have
open.
used that I didn't get out, is the meme that has the giraffe and the monkey and the goldfish in the bowl with the water and the elephant all lined up, and the man says, "Okay, for your first test, go climb that tree."
Oh, yeah.
And it's a point about
Yeah.
how, their standardized testing doesn't really capture the intelligence of the individual students within the classroom. There's only so far standard testing can take a person. But I think that
Right.
in the original question, you've answered it in implications. So when you're talking about the higher education being indoctrinating to those who aren't critical thinkers and unable to sort of sort out the information they gather in higher levels of education, you're talking about homeschooling as a way of feeding your child's soul, where the
Absolutely.
public school system is going to put them through an education that is basically teaching them to read, write, and whatever. The homeschooling
Yes, and I
scenario
think
can actually be individualized.
yes, and I think one of the things that most public school classrooms cannot do is have children really show that they know that material other than just a paper test, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think Blake would testify to. I taught math up to a certain point, and then we got into advanced geometry and calculus, and I poured over that book thinking, oh, I've got to be able to teach like this. Well, I couldn't, and so I handed him the book going, I don't know. Mm-hmm. And so he then took that book on his own and turned around and taught it to me. So it wasn't, can Blake do the test?
Right.
But the test was actually, can you teach it?
Can you get it to where you can regurgitate it? Yeah. Because it was his thing. We had a niche in that you didn't have. You had a gift in that area that you didn't have.
Right.
He was able to get that just from reading comprehension and working that out.
But I will tell you that when he taught that to me, I did get it.
Right.
I was able to get it.
Right.
And we got to, the kids don't often have that opportunity because there are so many children in the classroom.
Yeah.
But when we have them home, they do have that opportunity to have conversation with us and talk with us about what it is they're reading and learning, and teach those things back to us. That's how we know that they know it. We don't want them just taking a test and then forgetting the information. Right.
Too, I just want to say something real quick too. This is, we're not on here talking about homeschooling to try to bash public school.
Absolutely not.
At all either. Public school has had its place all the way back to the beginning of American history. Without public school teachers, so many kids would have been illiterate. And so this isn't a bash of public school. It's just what we have chosen to do for our kids, and it best fits us.
Mm-hmm.
And we think it can be a benefit, and especially in a time like this where parents are literally going to be forced into
Yes.
this. How to do it best for your kid this year. If it's never for another year, just for this year, how to try to do it to the best of your ability. I think that's really what we're getting at here.
What advice would you give new homeschool parents, Kristi?
I think if you are first year homeschool mom and dad, you must give your children lots and lots of grace. They are as much as we are in adults in a very uncertain time in history, right, with the whole COVID thing, you can try to imagine how difficult it is for our children to process all this and really in their minds having to give up their friends at school and teachers whom they love and whom love them. And so I would just say giving lots of grace to kids as they make this transition. Lots of grace for yourself. There are going to be mistakes. There are going to be dark days. There are going to be times where things are not going to go well and everyone's going to be upset and angry and you're just going to have a bad day. And that's okay. Those things happen and you just love and forgive and pick back up. And I would just say, as long as you're seeing little bits of progress each day in each area for each child, that's what you want. Don't hold yourself, in my mind, to somewhat the ridiculousness of A, B, C, D, right? F. You want excellence, and you want to hold up, the benchmark of we're going to work hard and we're going to give our best in whatever we're asked to do. But not putting too much on those little shoulders. They are children, and they need to be children.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Now, we've got 5 minutes left. Use 2 of those minutes to tell us about what's going on with your conference, what that's about, and then the last 2 minutes before we sign off, we're going to put you on the hot seat. So,
okay.
What's up with the conference?
So, all right. So, Long Ridge Baptist Church, Saturday, July 25th, from 8 a.m. till noon. We will have speakers. We will be talking about Kentucky law for homeschoolers. We'll be talking about how to schedule your year, your month, your week, your day, and just trying to break that down, help you figure all of that out. We will be specifically talking about math, science, reading. There will be a couple's going to come and talk about co-op opportunities, and also a program called Classical Conversations, which is a nationwide organization, and they're great. And then we'll be having lots of tables set up with curriculum for you to browse through. You're welcome to bring lunch and share in conversation after everything's over, and we'll have lots of really nice giveaways. So we just want to come and love on people and be able to encourage and share what we've learned over the years in homeschooling.
Awesome. Okay. Well, you heard her there, and we can help you get in contact with Kristi as long as you're not spam or a child molester or an active sex offender. If you need to get in contact with Kristi with questions, you can message our page, message Blake or I personally if you see this on Facebook, and if it's on YouTube, then you can comment or send a personal message, and we will respond to you if we can trust that you're not a robot, spam, or, again, some sexual predator. And we will make sure to get Kristi your information so that she can respond to you if you're interested in more information from her or if you want her help in some way. it is now time for the hot seat. It's burning. It's on fire. And we got 2 minutes to do it. And so I'm going to let Blake start off with the question and go.
See, this is the problem is I know what Devin's getting ready to ask, and I know it's going to involve me. So this really isn't even a fair hot seat right now, but I'll go with it. Mom, tell everybody your favorite hobby.
My favorite hobby?
Sorry, yeah.
I probably have to say softball, right? Yeah. But probably my favorite is playing softball right alongside Blake.
I told you. Who's your thing that ever happened?
Shut up. Who's your favorite child?
Oh, that's easy.
Yes, they're all my favorite children, right?
Right.
They're all my favorite children.
But I was the first favorite.
You were the first favorite.
What's your favorite memory of homeschooling?
That's unfair. You got two questions in
on
a
the
row.
podcast. Okay.
What?
So I cannot say my favorite, but I will say one of my favorites. I do have many, but the one that makes me really laugh out loud. Blake's senior year, we were at Perfect North, and he and Autumn are bound to determine that I'm going to learn how to ski. And so I do my little, that little thing you go through, and they teach you how to stand up without killing yourself, right? Yeah. Whatever that is, nonsense.
Yeah.
So we come back in, we have lunch, and Blake's like, "Come on, Mom, you got to go down this slope." I'm like, I don't know, and I've got a trick knee in my right leg, and I don't know. So he grabs now it's a dinosaur camcorder, right? We go up that stupid ski slope, get down. What was the thing called? I don't even know what that slope was called.
Okay. Blake grabbed a camcorder, took you up to Hitler's butt cheek, and then...
Yeah, whatever it was, right?
Okay.
And so, Autumn's on one side, Blake's on the other. They're like, "Mom, you can do this." I start down that stupid thing, and I am like, "Oh, please, Lord, please, just let me get." And I'm going side, I'm turning, right, the way I'm supposed to be.
Right.
Blake slides himself backwards and starts videotaping me. He's going down the stupid thing backwards and videotaping me, and I'm yelling like I'm gonna die. Yeah.
Blake went backwards on skis?
Did you not? I mean, yes, he did. Videotaping and laughing the whole time.
I should have been videotaping myself. I mean, it was that awesome.
Yeah.
She says, I don't even know if I like the fact that this turned out in Blake's favor.
I can't really tell my favorite. It's not decent.
And now you gotta tell.
I have to tell when the podcast is over.
Behind the scenes. It's behind the scenes.
I'm gonna be like, I've stopped recording. #podcast extra. Is that the end of the hot seat, Blake? You got nothing else? I asked 2 in a row. Go.
Oh, I thought that was the 2 minutes. Man.
We should make it the last one, but I'm letting you ask one more because I asked 2 in a row and cut you off.
Tell us your favorite story of me and Autumn growing up.
This is also going to be like a praising Blake story. It's making me
I can
nauseated.
think of one. I can think of one, but she probably won't want to tell that one.
I mean, it's not like any earth-shattering thing. I don't know if it would even be on your radar, but probably for me, the thing that I remember loving the most is we had that stupid Dalmatian dog. Do you remember that thing? And the brindle dog called King.
Mm-hmm.
And we took a picnic lunch just down over the bank, right? And just walking back there and the beauty of all of that, and just sitting and eating lunch and talking when the dogs running, just the freedom. Sometimes I think about those things when I'm walking through the house or folding clothes or whatever, and it almost takes my breath away. I miss it so much. I'm so glad for the marriage that you and Autumn have and your families, but all those days just come flooding back sometimes, and it's a bittersweet, it's a bittersweet memory. Very sweet, but sad it's over too. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you actually enjoyed having him around, and that is a wonderful thing. That is quite the shocker. I'm going to put like a reveal on here because I think we found out a lot of information that we didn't previously know or expect. But I'm thankful.
You really got to put back on, right? I mean, come on now.
This Blake's mom with the cowboy hat.
Somewhere.
That's right. That's it for us, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Devin. That's Blake. And that's Blake's cowboy mama. Right over there. Right over here. Sorry. We'll see you next time.
No, I don't ride horses. I'm out.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share, because Facebook won't share our post unless you do. So make it happen. We love you. Thanks for tuning in. Hope it was helpful. If you want more information from Kristi, let us know. Bye-bye.